Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network here at Center Ice. I am Nick, and joining me is Brit, as always. How are you, Brit?
As most times, yeah, Mr. Ran it solo last week. I forgot to tell you, great job last week, so I'm telling you that
Oh,
now.
thank you. Thank you. Hopefully,
Yeah, I'm
everything
glad
is
you
okay at home for you
decided to
as
bring
well.
me back.
Wonderful. Well, it was apparent that you were missed. A lot of people asking where you were. So
All the fans.
you're the face of the franchise, man. You can't. There's no escaping that.
That's not true.
You got the looks, you got the know-how, you got it all, man. I'm just supplemental at this point. So, well,
Is the
anyways,
Canva king.
that's right. That's about all I can do is whenever it's not requiring me to show my face, I can do it. And even
That's
then, I
not
was I was
true.
not doing too hot last week with the social media. So, but we're doing better now. Okay, so before we get started, don't forget everyone to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck podcast go live. You can do that on the various social media platforms of your choosing. Now, if you want to follow us, you may do so, and we ask that you do so at the Cluster Puck podcast on Facebook and at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Okay, Britt. So we're going to keep this one rather short because obviously, game at the time this is being released, there's a game upcoming. So we don't want to get in the way of that because obviously it's going to be the Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon show. People want to get prepped for that. It's going to be national
Yeah.
broadcast. So we'll keep this
Please,
one
for the
on the
love
shorter
of
side
God,
today.
show up, show.
So let's do a recap then of the last couple of games that were specifically with the 3-0 loss to Winnipeg and then the 2-3 overtime win against the New York Rangers. So let's dive into the Winnipeg game. Britt, this one felt a lot like the first time you played in Winnipeg where you did lose
Yeah,
1-0, but you tried at least. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
Because it was a mixture. Well, I might walk that comment back halfway, where I'm now probably going to say it was either the best worst game you've ever played or the worst best game you've ever played. I'm having a tough
Yeah.
time figuring it out because still right now, Blackwood is proving himself to be a good goaltender, and this one just felt like just a dud. Like how teams always have those. It
Yeah.
just kind of felt like one of those. What do you think?
Yeah, and, like, to your worst, best, worst, I feel like both of those with the Rangers, it's the least enjoyable win, and this was kind of like a as enjoyable as a loss could be, maybe I mean, we
It's
got
tough to
goalied,
describe.
which it is hard to remember, that these games are embarrassed Winnipeg, and these games are extremely personal for Winnipeg, and more so than Winnipeg, Hellebuck in general. I do think that Hellebuck is the best goalie in the world, so it's hard to be, too pissed off about losing a game to him. Mackenzie Blackwood, it feels like he still has yet to give up more than 3 goals in a game, majority of them 2 goals in a
Which
game. Essentially, if we score 3 goals, we're gonna win. Certainly no fault of this game falls on him. He leads with,
mhm,
like, a over 90% save average, so
yeah,
even in the losses, it's just incredible how comfortable we are with the goaltending. Sometimes I'm starting to fear, and kind of as we move into the other games, that maybe the Avs are a little too comfortable in their goaltending. We've
yeah,
seen some really big defensive lapses, and in the Winnipeg game, he had to make some really, really big saves that could have been embarrassing. I can't even fathom what the scores would have been if,
yeah,
Georgiev or Onanen was in net, honestly.
yeah. There is that potential way of thinking, and they did say that Mackenzie Blackwood still has yet to give up more than 2 goals in a game. Now, obviously, you people are thinking, wait a minute, they lost 3-0. Well, one of those is an empty netter, right? So
Yeah.
still, he only gave up 2, and the third one doesn't
Since
count
he joined
against.
us, he has statistically been the best goalie
He's
in the
been
NHL by
phenomenal.
multiple standards. Yeah.
Yep, he's been
It's,
phenomenal.
and it's not completely sustainable, but it's pretty close to what is sustainable. So
Yeah,
it's
and
really
and
nice to have
really
that taken care of.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I mean, the one big flaw was in this Winnipeg game was just it felt again like the puck luck, kind of like in that first game
Yeah,
in Winnipeg earlier this season where you were doing everything right. You
yeah.
had flow, you had good rhythm, but just one missed pass or one bad breakup or a off the iron, whatever it was, just ruined your day, because ultimately it was a 2-0 loss because, early goal for Winnipeg. You could fight to get it back, you think. But other than that, goals were far and few between, and that's just kind of all she wrote. So I was talking last week about the importance of 4-point games. This one obviously is going to sting in that you are chasing Winnipeg. Winnipeg beats you, right? That's 2 points
Hmm.
you could have had taken away from them, but instead they took it away from
Yeah, it's
you.
a 4-point game.
It's a 4-point game, and that's going to be one that you're going to wish you want back, I'm sure, later in the
Hmm.
season if it comes down to like a 2 to 4
Absolutely.
point margin. But ultimately, again, I'm not necessarily upset with the play. There were some questionable
The
areas,
power play,
obviously,
and that's a
power play being
relentlessly
one of them.
recurring. So
It,
bad.
I just wish I knew kind of what this team's ultimate goal on the power play is, because it clearly isn't scoring, right? I
No,
think it's possession,
prior
right?
to
'Cause
the Rangers game, which we went 0-3, I believe, if I recall correctly, we had, like, the 18th worst power play in the league,
we're
and so then
somewhere
going
in there.
0 for 3 in the Rangers game
Yeah,
has to greatly affect that. We are snake bitten on the power play. It's
we are.
unreal. Eh, it feels like something absolutely has to give as far as the system and the players out on the power play because it's nothing about it is working.
Yeah. The adverse comment to that, though, is you played a completely clean game, 0 penalties against
Yeah.
Winnipeg, which is massive because they are also just drenching with talent on power play. So 0
Was
penalties.
it 0? Okay, I got my
We'll
games
take it.
mixed up with
Nope.
the yeah.
Yeah,
We
they
need
they
Val
committed
Nichushkin
they
back.
committed
It's,
2, we committed 0. But
okay.
you're exactly right. 0 for 2 on the power plays, and on this Rangers game, which we'll talk about here in a second, 0 for 3. That's got to change. You've got to
Yeah.
straighten that out for sure.
Which
But
and
other than that,
having Nichushkin back,
that was big.
he'll like for both penalty kill and power play, we've was the Rangers game the 4th shorthanded power play goal we've given up?
Oh boy,
I
I
mean,
can't
it's
I
bad.
can't remember honestly. That sounds about right though. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gnarly.
it's pretty disgusting. But speaking of disgusting, let's go ahead and talk about this Rangers game. So let's be clear. A win is a win. We're happy to
Yeah,
take it.
yeah,
However, this just might be the most disappointing win I think I've
yeah.
ever seen. Like, it was
Bednar is a very, very calm coach who doesn't give much. He looked thoroughly disgusted. The
uh-huh.
words and the verbiage that he used, unimpressed was I mean,
He
essentially short
said it
of
was
LOC, I think he would have
yeah. Like,
loved to bag skate that entire team for 2 years straight.
they clearly were wearing the baggage from Winnipeg and were playing just downtrodden. I mean, again, they didn't play terrible in that Winnipeg game, but they just took
No,
all the baggage of being shut out by Hellebuck again back to
right.
Denver, and you could tell, like, no, other than Logan O'Connor,
The
which you are
mistakes
correct,
were egregious, and the
nobody wanted
Rangers
to be
game is
there.
more so, a big I just totally lost my train of thought. Mm, totally forgot what I was saying there.
That's all right. That happens.
Oh,
Um,
I think it's the biggest shining light on it almost feels like, is our defense too comfortable with our goaltending?
it could be. I mean, okay, so going through the motions here, first period, Parker Kelly does get a goal. It was great.
A beautiful goal. Holy
Beautiful.
snipe,
It was
man. He has
incredible.
just really had himself a month or 2, really a season, but he has, taken over and really made that line
Mhm.
more effective than almost the 2nd and 3rd on any given night.
No, you're exactly right. So I mean, a single good skilled possession leads to that goal, which was amazing.
Yeah.
However, you give up a shorthanded goal to Sam Carrick, and that's the one where it just feels like not only was like the wind ripped from your sails, the sail just fell down and the boat sunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just the play from that point on just plummeted, and I don't know
So bad.
why or what, but it just
And
seemed
you
like they
can
were just
tell
getting rid of the puck. They didn't care about their passes. Their shots
how
were
many
not timed
breakaways,
well.
clean, unopposed breakaways, like that
Oh yeah.
Artemi Panarin one. But I mean, that could have been a 10-goal game with an average
Oh yeah.
goaltender. And the biggest positive I take away is watching Blackwood. I think maybe 3 of those that he gloved so calmly.
The point blank ones too on those breakaways.
Oh my
I
god,
think of
he
Zibanejad in
was
overtime.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh my god, unreal. He was
I thought
astounding
it was game
and
over.
unbothered, really.
Yep.
Because it should be.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since we've been on the opposite ends of heading out, like running out of the building because he didn't earn it, stealing a game. And it's about time a goalie stole a game for us and we won a game that maybe we didn't deserve to win because it
And
feels like so
I
often we're on the opposite end of that.
I think you're exactly right. We did not deserve to win this game at all. And I was going
But
back and
there, I
looking at
mean,
certain key points in that game, and you're just like, how did we even retain possession? In fact, for that
That Kale
matter,
McCarr turnover,
yeah, I mean, there were plenty of those team over or turnovers for crying out loud. But the
particularly
worst,
Malinsky and Middlestat, were horrific. I mean, absolutely awful. And you can see in their ice times, Bednar made it very clear in ice time who he was impressed with and who he wasn't.
mhm,
Devontae's 30 minutes. We cannot
that's nuts.
cannot keep doing that.
That's nuts. Um, shots on goal were 26, but again, I feel like 16 of those were within the last like 5 minutes of the game
Yeah,
in order to
yeah.
tie it up, which Arturi
It was
Lehkonen did.
really just the worst game to watch,
It
except
was,
for 3 minutes worth of the game would have been
yep.
summed
And
it
then
up
that
pretty good.
overtime period where Devontae's right place, right time. It just
LOC outworking every single person on the
LOC,
ice to
his
the moon
hustle
and
this
back over
entire
and over
game.
again.
Yeah. Yep, you're
Does
exactly
he
right.
usually even play overtimes? Which for the why do have we gone to overtime with the Rangers 3 games in a row?
It sure feels like it. It's been a one goal, if not overtime possessed game for like the
And
last
thank God
3
we didn't go to the
seasons.
shootout.
Oh,
Blackwood
no kidding.
very notably said he's not a fan of the shootout, and of all things we've seen him do, the last shootout was certainly not his strongest. So glad
Yeah.
we were able to finish that in the nick of time. Another positive though is finally we actually score by pulling the goalie because I feel like we have let in so many empty net goals, and for once we actually put one in. Devontae's has been truly the hero in the
He's
last month.
he's
It started to
been
feel like we were mistaken about him or that he just jumped off of some cliff or aged, but whatever his injury was, he has been incredible
he
the
has
last month.
he has been stupendous, and I gave him my props last week. 4 goals in 4 games, and now I think a 5th or even 6th goal now with this. I mean,
Mhm.
he's been a workhorse, and you even alluded to it, 30 minutes of ice time for
Yeah.
him.
He's
That's
not a baby, and
yeah,
he's a
that's a
dude with
lot.
babies at home. I mean, honestly, it's incredible that he can do that.
Yeah, it's insane. But again, you take the win, you take the 2 points, but you don't feel good about this type of win because it's like
It
you
was
didn't
yucky.
deserve it at all. So
Yeah.
either way, though, two
Take it,
games,
son.
2 very different scenarios where you played bad and won, you played good and lost. Kind of how it is, you
Yeah, so
know.
we ended up 1 and 2 on that road trip, but we need to flush it upcoming week. I don't think we're even gonna go over it, but we are heading into a gauntlet. So I
We
really
are.
hope that they get
Yep.
their shit together
I think
real
we are
quick.
going to get into the next 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
4.
can hit them quick too, but
Yeah, we'll hit them pretty quick.
there's
But
not a lot to say other than figure your shit out and find your
mhm.
passion. Because
Mhm.
McKinnon, did you see just briefly, I was going to ask you before, did you see where McKinnon lost his shit and yelled at Bednar to do his job and chucked a water bottle?
Can't
Just
say I
McKinnon
did,
things?
actually. They
Yeah, he
must have
had
kept that one pretty hidden.
McKinnon hissy fit,
That happens. But
does.
before we go into the upcoming games, let's kind of sit back real quick, play armchair GM. We've passed the halfway point of the season, which is fun, but I also hate it because that means it's halfway over.
Yeah.
The end is
Every
coming
point matters
soon, and I
from
don't
here.
like it.
Yeah. It feels like it's hurry up and wait because this is kind of where you get to where the season's been a little slow, but now it is full force, especially once you get to that Four Nations, it's going to move very quick.
I agree. So as it sits right now, the Avalanche are sitting in the first wild card spot, 2 points behind Dallas, 3 points behind Minnesota, and then 8 points behind Winnipeg. So they're there, they're in contention, but like I was talking about last week, they just, even though they are winning, so is the rest of the division, particularly those three that you're trying to chase down. But being at the midway point or passing the midway point that we have done, what's your take on the team now? We kind of have something, we got settled down with our 2 new goalies. We have a couple of trades that we've made. What's your take on the team? What's the direction? What's the overall thought?
I mean, I think just the 2 biggest focuses for me are getting healthy and maintaining that health. It sucks to be in this position to where you can't really take a lot of maintenance. We don't have the luxury of maintenance days from a car. It would be really nice. My other priority is to see it. We have got to figure it out. Once again, Middleset had such a great start to the year. He had a good run in the playoffs, but once again, here we are with this 2C issue. He has such a high ceiling, but he has truly been just in another world of bad the last 20 games. I really think he's gonna figure it out, and once he does figure it out and we get Nuke back, I really think we're gonna see this team thrive and hopefully hit their peak at the right time. Kind of sucks that we have so many Finnish, Canadian, and American players because I wish they could just sit Four Nations out altogether. It'd be nice to see Makar. I don't know how into it they are, but I really wish the Four Nations was just a break for our guys. But health and Middlestat. I mean, truly the difference in winning a cup and not is going to be Middlestat figuring, unless we have a certain guy come. That would be a perfect Tuesday.
What number does this guy wear, Britt? What is it? Does it wear an 8 and a 7 on the back of his jersey?
It's high. Yes. And you know what? I really do think that the Jari being put on waivers is the start that sets in motion.
You think that's the first domino?
The upheaval. Yeah, I do. Which poor Jari, man. Poor buddy. I love him so much. But God, he sucks so bad.
Yep.
Boy. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just going to put my faith in the Lord that either Middleset's going to figure it out or Crosby's going to be coming. Otherwise, kind of worries me that we're going to see a big-ish move. I feel like our fourth line and a lot of our little niche spots where we usually fill in are really not holding us back this year. I mean, Kiviranta has played phenomenal. If anything, maybe a D, but if we are to acquire anything bigger, like I know that Sprong's name's been thrown out there. I personally don't even want to entertain the JT Miller, Elias Pettersson. I don't want to introduce any possibilities of toxicity or stretch the cap even more so. I don't think that with Pettersson it's even remotely possible, but there's a reason everybody's hated JT everywhere he's gone. And I like him and I like his fire, but can you have 2 McKinnon personalities in the locker room? I mean, these guys might end up going home and needing therapy at the end of a practice. So
for sure.
Yep, but Sprong, I like it. I don't know. I feel like this is the least I've thought about the deadline in several years. Unless I don't know if you agree, but
I completely agree. Actually, it's the last now that we've had these two goaltenders and I've eaten my fair share of crow on goalies, I can say I've not been bothered by any personnel.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a question of playing a good game at this point. You know, goaltending
And
is they've been
Landeskog
fine.
is
And yeah,
Landeskog was out on the
Landeskog's
ice
even
and he
showing
looks
signs
like
of
a
improvement. So I think for me, the big midway point factor that needs to change, this is a must change, is the fact that you have not won more than 3 games in a row since October,
yeah.
since the very
What was
beginning
our
of the
winning
season.
streak that we went on last year? Did we do a 16 or was that
We
just at
were
home? Like
we
the
were on fire.
23?
Something like
Yeah.
that, but we had a winning streak going. Like, that's what I
And if
want, is
you're
to
gonna
get it up
lose,
to
could you
8,
just not
9,
shit
10.
so hard? Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
'cause
means that
it's
we're finding some grooves, but also the injury bug. But I feel like with the way Blackwood is playing, can we blame the injury bug anymore?
not when it comes to goaltending. I don't think so. And
Even
even
in
so
general. I mean,
I think, yeah, you're exactly right. If there's someone that goes out for a game, yeah, you can tell you can miss them,
yeah.
but you have it's next man up mentality, and they've all been stepping up
Yeah.
to the plate relatively well. So I think you're
It's
right.
so unbelievably blatant this year that this team has to have Nichushkin in order to function. I mean, he I will donate body parts, like, whatever we need to do to get he's just such a big softy. I do not understand how somebody so big he's hurt so much, man. I really do think that the finding stability and consistency, a lot of it lies in him because I just feel like our top guys really aren't handling the, up and downs very well, and
Yeah.
they make them far worse, and I hope that it would be nice to have Drouin back, for any given amount of time, that's not who's he played 9 games this year?
Something small number like that, which you'd think would have been it felt, because they've been so spread out, but yeah, I think it's in the
Yeah,
single digits still, like, it's crazy.
and he's been good almost all the games, but yeah, I completely agree. At least put together 5, and when you do lose, don't lose so horrifically. Like, we just
Mhm.
seem to have a game every once in a while that makes me question everything I thought about this team.
No,
And now that
seriously.
goaltending's not an excuse, it feels a lot more, pressing, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? We can't just blame Georgiev for everything.
exactly. Yep, there's no real pincushion at this point in
Yeah.
time, because, you know how it used to be Sam Girard? Girard's playing good.
Well,
It used I
Middlestat
mean,
is making himself
Middlestat's
the
about the
whipping
only
boy
guy,
real
but
quick.
there's other people scoring around him that really kinda takes that,
Girard has been playing great.
yeah,
I
it
feel like
takes
this
that
is the best
excuse
year we've
away.
seen out of him. Yeah.
So, that would be my only big thing. It's like the team is doing fine. I'm not concerned with missing the playoffs, but my big
No.
concern is case in point. Since the beginning of this month, you have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, and most recently a win. That's not
Yeah.
consistency. That is
No.
literally
And at
up and
least
down, right?
Eric
That gets
Lacroix
you
always
nowhere.
talks about good teams don't lose 2 in a row, so it is nice to see them constantly bounce back, but find a plateau for just a little while. Play good. You don't have to come in and kick a team's ass and then
Yep,
immediately fall off a cliff. Just win
yep,
solidly
that's
a couple games.
I mean, and even a shutout every now and again would be appreciated,
It
because
is
it's
so
been
weird that Blackwood doesn't have one yet, and it is good. Wedgwood is back. That was scary for a hot minute.
yeah,
He's
in that Buffalo game, that
the
was,
thought of having to go look for a backup goalie yet again.
yeah,
We got to
not
not
fun.
overplay Blackwood.
Yep. So, ultimately, if I were to say grades-wise, I'd say they're at a B, maybe
Yeah,
B plus.
any given night
But yeah,
changing.
it's any given night you could play like A plus, you could play like F. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
inconsistency as far as your winning and loss is
yep.
it's unacceptable, honestly. You need to sustain like a 5 or 6 something winning streak, 5 or 6 game winning streak, in order to climb up that ladder, because
Right.
Dallas,
Especially when our
Minnesota,
division
and
is so
Winnipeg are
hard.
doing it. You need to do
Right.
it too. It's not out of reach. at this point.
The
3
division
points
this year
behind
does
one,
not
3 points
offer.
behind the other. Exactly. It's not impossible to do, but you have to get these stretches of games with wins. And with this upcoming schedule, it's not going to be easy.
No.
It's going to be really difficult. So if unless you have anything else to add, we'll go into this upcoming slate
not
of
really.
games. Okay. So tonight, about the time you guys are watching this, the Avalanche are going to play the Edmonton Oilers. This is your marquee, Hart Trophy versus Hart Trophy,
Yeah.
call it what
Leon
you will.
Draisaitl Hart, though. Not
No
Connor
kidding.
McDavid Hart. It's
No
so weird.
kidding. And that was my key to the game that I talked about last week. I didn't know if we were going to be able to cover it last week or this week. So I talked about it last week. It still rings clear to this day. Leon Draisaitl is the guy that you need to stop.
He is on another planet this year.
He's playing
so good.
Stupid good right now. And his numbers continue to just go up. In fact, last I checked, last week when I talked about this, he was first in goals and points.
Yeah, I think they've been trading spots, every few games, it seems. But fortunately, they are quite similar to the position we were in last year, in that Stuart Skinner is sometimes otherworldly and sometimes awful. Yeah, Stuart. I keep getting Jeff and Stuart mixed up.
They're on the same team now.
Their goaltender can be annihilated. We have to shoot the puck. Shoot the frickin' puck on the power play, for the love of God.
No kidding. Oh, that's been so annoying. So yeah, I guess currently as it stands, Draisaitl is 5 points behind McKinnon, but he still does lead the league in goals.
Our empty net merchant got all of them this year.
No kidding. But he's still my key to the game, I think. And with everything that you've said as far as power play, as far as Stuart Skinner, if he's a dud or a stud, he's inconsistent. So you just hope you get the latter of the two.
Their defense can also be had. They're not performing at the Bouchards and stuff. They are not performing like they did last year when they hit their peak. So this team, we could kick their ass. We have to just show up.
Yes. It cannot be like the game you just played where, yes, you won, but you didn't deserve it. It's one thing.
It would be nice to not have to be bailed out by McKenzie.
Right. Exactly. It's one thing if you lose and do everything right versus you did everything wrong and stole a win. Again, you'll take it. You're happy that you had it, but you got to change that, because a team like this, they will just bombard you with goals. I don't care if it's Blackwood in net. They have a high octane.
Well, and that's just it. I don't want to take Mackenzie Blackwood off his high. You know what I mean? Abandon him and give him one of those games where he lets in 6 and all of them, you're like, nothing he can do. I don't want to do that to him. You know what I mean? And especially 100%. To start off this series of games.
100%.
Which Wedgwood might be in net too. It's crazy that they're both really playing well enough that they might want to get him out there, because all of these games, I'm not sure which one you would prioritize for the 1A. You know what I mean? Really.
Because at this point,
and I trust both of them. It doesn't make me queasy either way.
Yep, you do. You don't have like oh boy, it's Wedgwood. You're like, cool. Scott's in net. Yeah. Awesome. That's it. That's the extent of your feeling. So it's a good problem to have for sure. But I think you're right. Maybe this is one that Wedgwood does need to start, because you look at the next 3 games. Maybe these teams will sound familiar to you.
There's plenty of hard work to go around.
That's exactly right. The Wild, or excuse me, the Stars, then the Wild, then the Jets. Now, wait a second. Those 3 teams are all in the Central Division. They're all home games, might I add. They are the 3 people in order that you're trying to pass.
There's going to be a lot of traded points.
This is a huge week, especially if you're trying to clamber to the top. If you beat Dallas,
you could literally go from wild card to first place at that rate. I mean, if they have totally 1 week is going to make the Central Division, it could look entirely different. There could be so many swings.
Yep, you're exactly right. So
there's a lot of pride up for grabs and takes. I mean, it'd be nice to finally make a statement so that the discussion about the Avs can stop being how unimpressive and injured they are.
yeah. So my big thing, keys to the game, really, it's ultimately the same three, and that is you have to give 100% throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
And
I think the keys to the game are probably the same for all three, don't you think?
You're exactly
all three
right.
upcoming games.
They
Do it
are all,
every single game.
yeah,
Every single player.
they are all as equally as important because these are the exact three teams that you are behind in the Central Division standings. So
we need to beat
there's
the Jets
no
with Hellebuck. That's, to me, we need to do it in the regular season because the win against them feels half-baked with it being and he played well. What's his face? Rick Reimer? Rick, I don't even, one of those lifelong goalie backups that people love.
Yeah. But again, I think the important part is you need to match the same intensity that the other teams are going to give. Now, that being said, I will dive into individual games for just a second. The Stars are, at this point, in my opinion, the most beatable team out of those three.
Yeah, they're having a weird year.
They've had a lot of these
Stankoven is
games.
Underperforming. They've got a lot of sophomore slumps. It feels like last year they had a lot of newbie good feelings, and a lot of their guys just are kind of not.
Like right now, Jason Robertson's not having too hot of a year.
That's like 2 years in a row, isn't it?
A little bit. Yeah, there's Johnston, Wyatt
Honestly,
Johnston
they've just been
taking a
quiet
step back.
this year.
Yeah, so if
Ottinger is playing well, though.
Ottinger is still going to be Ottinger, which I'm not really surprised by that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But again, if you are just playing the type of game that I know they can play, speaking of the Avalanche, this game should be easily in hand by the start of the third period. Assuming you're doing everything correctly, moving the puck, scoring on power plays, shooting on power plays for that matter.
Winning in regulation is also a priority. We need to work as little as possible, especially if we're going to be playing guys 30 minutes.
Exactly. And this is one where your middle three are going, or your middle six, I should say, are going to need to step up in that. For example, Casey Middlestat, Ross Colton, Miles Wood, any of those guys.
Which I think we'll have Nuke back. It sounds like he
Nuke
was
is
possibly
back.
going to do the last trip.
Miles Wood, I think, should be joining. So that's going to be the important part because right now their middle six for Dallas tends to be scoring more. I will admit that. But that does not stop the fact that Dallas is a beatable foe should you play 100% for 60 minutes.
And to start this set up on a positive note, I think would really mean a lot. You know what I mean? To get off on a good note going into the next few games.
Yep. Next game is the Wild. Another divisional game, same thing. We talked about the intensity, that 100% of the time, 60 minutes, all that good stuff. The big difference here is the Wild are just kind of a different breed of Wild this year. Usually they're this physical, knock you down, hard hitting, old school. They've got a lot more speed and a lot more finesse.
Yeah, they're young and agile for sure.
And their team chemistry is through the roof right now. Like it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing with house money. I mean, I think that, they're perpetually mid, but they're very happy with this. Wasn't it? I don't think that they really had any expectations to truly contend until it's going to be terrifying that they have $14 million in cap space opening up next year, which a lot of it is going to go to Kaprizov, which I'm not sure do we anticipate him being back for that game, or is he a little bit longer term?
I don't know. But
it would be nice to beat them with Kaprizov. Granted, any win feels good against them, and I just don't ever have any sympathy for any team that's so injured like the last time we played them, but it'd be nice to beat them with him.
I agree. I 100% agree. The big kicker on this one is going to be the penalty kills, in my opinion. Both have been doing pretty good as of late, the Avalanche and the Wild. But this isn't going to be, in my opinion, a penalty-free game. Although I'd love for the Avs
Absolutely
to
not.
be clean slated, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But it's going to come down to who can kill penalties, because that's a lot of times where Minnesota scores is on the power play. So that's one where you're going to have to step up. You know, you've been doing okay. I mean, you stopped Winnipeg, you stopped New York, both of which, and historically over the last couple of seasons have been really potent on the power play. So you just need to keep that up, especially with the group of penalty killers that we have. I'm totally comfortable with. I like them.
And if we find any stride in our power play, I mean, we only stand to immediately improve our likelihood to win. So if we can get back to any resemblance of earlier this year.
I agree. I 100% agree. Okay, and then the last one, Winnipeg, which you just saw up north. They come to town. This one, it's got to be a reverse story of the last 2 times now that you've played them in Winnipeg, where you get to shut them out. You get to have all the puck luck.
I think the number one priority is scoring first. Get in their heads. I think Hellebuyck got in ours last game. We need to put one out and get him uncomfortable.
You 100% read my mind. That's the key to this game. The second key, I guess, particularly for this game, is you have to score first. You cannot let Hellebuyck quickly settle in with these easy shots where he can get into a nice rhythm
that he makes look so wildly
because if that's the case, it's all over. It's going to take
can't let him feel hot
to get past him. Yep. So you exactly read my mind. Yeah, it's going to be difficult because Hellebuyck does tend to be pretty well seasoned by the time the puck drops. His warm-up routine is insane.
He's just an animal. Honestly,
I'm just glad he's American.
He's weird, dude. Oh my god, I know.
That's the one happy part about it.
The Four Nations. I'm so excited to cheer for some people. The only one that weirds me out is Jack Eichel. I can't, even for my country, I can't. It gives me the yuck, but that's one of my ones that I'm most excited for. That he is going to be on my team. Like it's exciting, and I hope that he kicks ass.
Yep, I think that's exactly right. I'm excited to see him play for the U.S., but right now he's on the Winnipeg Jets, so he's still a rival, still a foe. But key to that game: score first. I don't care who, I don't care how. You got to get on the board. You got to shake
Parsonen, man.
Somehow. What's that?
Parsonen, our other sniper, that shot that he got, I can't even remember what game it was. His goal. I could not believe the lift he got on that puck. I'm loving Parsonen. So I want to see Parsonen put one up on Hellebuyck. First goal of the game.
I like it. Let's do it. But other than that, those are the 4 games for this week. Again, big matchups. Every last one of them. You have the Stanley Cup finalists and then 3 divisional matchup opponents. And it's yikes. It's a
hopefully Middleton's not. The Middleton, I don't know. I'm kind of sick of seeing him. I don't hate him, but I don't. Ludwig going through waivers, I just don't. Why? I thought he was perfectly serviceable.
I think it's because Middleton provides that kind of rough and tumble, isn't afraid to mix it up type mentality. That's my best guess. I don't know if I'm right.
And that's, I'm sure it feels like they feel the need to have some kind of enforcer, like the Smith. Oh boy, Gianni. You're bad.
He's fun.
But Middleton, when he looks bad too. It's what Josh Manson's for. And McKinnon, he's a fighter. I don't know. I would like to see some different faces. I don't have too much to say about our other call-ups, but for Anala and Poland, I mean, there's just feel like, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm curious to see who we'll bring on that trip, because that'll say a lot about the trust. Hopefully Ivan, I don't know.
Hopefully he gets recovered in time, because he's been doing well on that 4th line. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that's going to run us all the way to the ground on this episode. Like I said, we're trying to keep it on the shorter side so you can have time to prep in for tonight's game. So that being said, thank you everyone for watching this episode of the Cluster Puck Podcast. Again, if you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. If you want to follow us, you may do so at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook and at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. With that being said, let's go win a hockey game, Brit. What do you think?
Heck yeah.
Yes. 4 of them.
Yeah, ideally.
Let's go get a winning streak of 4 because this is, like I said, tough week. So let's go.
I think 3 out of 4 is kind of my expectation to be truly successful. So, but winning
and that 4th is just an overtime loss, right?
Right. Yeah.
Marvelous. Okay. Well, thank you once again for joining us on today's episode. Have a great weekend, and as always, go Avs, go.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my life.